Hey everybody, welcome to my presentation on Starbucks Canada for International Public Relations. My name's Courtney Rodent and I will be walking you through all of this. I wanted to start with a little bit about the history of Canada. Canada is actually the second largest country in the world in size, second to Russia, but it's one of the most sparsely populated countries. Although Canadians are comparatively few in number, they have crafted what many observers consider to be a model multicultural society, where they welcome a lot of the immigrant populations from every other continent. Canada also harbors and exports a wealth of natural resources and intellectual capital equaled by few of the other countries in the world. As most of you would know, Canada shares a very long border with the United States, and it's actually the longest border in the world not paroled by military forces. And the majority of the population lives within 185 miles of the international border. Canada didn't become self-governing until 1931, and then became a full legislative independence in 1982, where they actually obtained the right to amend its own constitution. Previously, it was controlled by France and Britain. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the culture of Canada. As you can imagine, Canada actually does have a lot of similarities to the United States, especially in things like pop culture. But there are also pretty big differences, both temperamental and in material. Canada is an individualist society, and they have a low power distance score, which was at 39, where the average was 55. So that's reflected in the lack of status or class distinctions in society. Typical of other cultures with a low score in this dimension, the hierarchy in Canadian organizations is established for convenience, and superiors are always accessible, and managers actually rely on the individual employees and their teams for expertise. It's customary in this society for managers and staff members to consult one another and share information freely. With respect to communication, Canadians value a straightforward exchange of information. Canada is also moderately masculine, and they actually only scored a 52, just slightly more in the masculine side of the scale. The overall cultural tone is more subdued with respect to achievement, success, and winning when compared to the U.S. Canadians also tend to have a work-life balance and are likely to take time to enjoy personal pursuits like family gatherings and life in general. Canadians also have a low uncertainty avoidance. This means that it's easy for them to accept new ideas, innovative products, and a willingness to try something new or different, and also relates to lower anxiety when changes and new happenings arise. Even though Canada is very, very close to the United States, there are some significant differences in public relations. Public relations in Canada does not have any universal standards. It has grown a lot and become viewed more positively in the last 50 years. They do have the Canadian Public Relations Society, and they focus on professional standards, education for public relations professionals, news and PR, and they tend to look at the future of PR and how that's what's going to be happening in Canada. However, a lot of the PR agencies that are in Canada, not all of them, but a lot of the major ones tend to be branches of United States PR. However, they do like to do things a little differently than those in the United States. Now we're going to get more into Starbucks in Canada. I pulled this little quote from Starbucks Canada website, and it just says kind of how they feel and what they do. So it says, every day we go to work hoping to do two things: share great coffee with our friends and help make the world a little better. It was true when the first Starbucks opened in 1971, and it's just as true today. Starbucks actually didn't come to Canada until March 1st of 1987 when they opened their first store at the Seabus SkyTrain station in Vancouver. Since then, it has grown hugely, and now there are over 1,070 stores all over Canada. They have actually also added 4 offices, the main one in Toronto, and then 3 other Starbucks offices in Vancouver, Calgary, and Montreal. A recent campaign that Starbucks Canada launched was the Morning Yes campaign. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the campaign specifically in the next slide, but this is just kind of an overview. It launched in January of 2019. They started the campaign with a partnership with Todd Selby, who is a photographer in Canada. The idea was to transform people's mornings by just saying yes. Part of the campaign was the new Way to Wake Up alarm that was available on Apple and Android, and then their idea was that it's for everyone and not just coffee lovers. Going a little more into depth about the campaign itself, the idea was that it was just not an emotionally driven campaign. It was more about a mentality that inspires people to conquer their day. So they set out to spread this mindset across Canada, transforming people's mornings by just saying yes, and not just through campaign words, but through action. By combining their curiosity about social and cultural trends alongside Starbucks' passion for inspiring and nurturing the human spirit, the hope was to create powerful work that matters and connects with Canadians in a meaningful way. Starbucks actually collaborated with a team of neuroscientists, musicians, and health experts to create the Morning Yes alarm. The alarm was scientifically engineered to wake you up feeling good. The idea was simple in that everybody does mornings differently, whether you wake up at 5 a.m. or rise right before noon. Mornings belong to all of us, so they wanted to reset the cultural conversation around the ideal morning by showing people that anyone can have a great morning by just saying yes. On the next few slides, I'm going to show you some of the campaign materials. So here you'll see an Instagram post about the Morning Yes campaign. You'll see a little ad actually on the weather for Canada. They actually had a Snapchat filter as well that they had that was the Starbucks Morning Yes. You see the cute little alarm clock that goes along with the idea of the Morning Yes alarm. And then over here, it kind of talked about more of how they created it and what the Morning Yes alarm will do. And this is actually their video advertisement for the Morning Yes campaign. So I'm going to play this.
We've been told that perfect mornings exist for the lucky few. That morning people own waking hours. But the truth is, mornings belong to all of us.
So as you can see in that video, it kind of just showed the whole idea of the campaign. And it was actually a really cute video that they did. Here you'll see a few more of the campaign materials, a billboard, some signage on the bus stop, a signage that looks like it's in the middle of one of the town centers, all kind of around the idea of saying yes. I think that Starbucks did pretty well overall with this campaign. I do have just a few suggestions. I do recommend that they do more in the news. I actually couldn't find any press releases on the Morning Yes campaign. And then the only thing I found about the actual Morning Yes alarm was on Starbucks website itself, and then that one Facebook post. So sharing more about that would have been beneficial to the campaign. Also, I thought that they could have been a little more visible on social media. There were not too many posts unless they have been taken off by now, but I did go back and go through all of them, and they were kind of lacking, and there was even a few posts from Starbucks customers that said that they didn't get the campaign or that they felt like it was missed because there just wasn't much about it. And also, I think they could have been a little more clear in their advertising and in their social media campaigns and all of that, just to make it more obvious the message that they're trying to portray and being consistent on all of those platforms. So that's all that I have. So thank you for listening, and let me know if you have any questions.